Hey, Shalom, Shalom. This is your brother Elijah. I want to go into this lesson on Isaiah 6 and 1. We're going to be breaking down John 12 and 41. So let's go straight to it. John 12, 41. Share my screen. John 12, 41. All right. So John 12 and 41, it says, "These things said Isaiah when he saw his glory and spake of him." Now, of course, we're going to go to the context. We're going to start about verse 37. But I want to look into this verse because Christians, they read this verse and they say that Isaiah spoke of Christ in Isaiah 6 and 1. Now, Isaiah did speak of Christ. Now, in Isaiah chapter 6, I will have to disagree. We're going to go into it, but I believe Christians, they have a misconception when it comes to, who Christ is, because they believe Christ is Yahweh in the Old Testament, which there's no proof on that. But this is one of the texts that they try to use to say that Isaiah seen Christ as Yahweh. All right, so let's start at verse 37. It says, "But though he had done so many miracles before them, yet they believed not on him." Remember, this verse is a very important point. Verse 38. "That the saying of Isaiah the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spake, Lord, who have believed our report, and to whom hath the arm of the Lord have been revealed." So right there, you got a quotation from Isaiah, right? And it's in Isaiah 53 and 1. So let's go to that. Isaiah 53 and 1. It says, "Who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed?" Now, in Isaiah 53, the whole chapter is talking about the suffering servant, which we know to be Christ. So keep that in mind. Let's go back to John 12. All right. Verse 39. "Therefore, they could not believe because that Isaiah said again." So now another passage from Isaiah is going to be quoted. "He have blinded their eyes and hardened their heart, that they should not see with their eyes, nor understand with their heart, and be converted, and I shall heal them." Now, this is coming from Isaiah 6. So let's go to Isaiah 6. It's verse 10. "Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with the heart, and convert and be healed." All right. Same thing it says in John 12 and 40. So now you see when we're reading this in John 12 from 37 to 40, he quoted two passages in Isaiah. Isaiah 6 and 10 and Isaiah 53 and 1. All right. Which is not in the same context. Isaiah 6 and Isaiah 53 is not the same context. But this is important. Because what they try to do, what Trinitarians try to do, they go to verse 41 and say, "These things said Isaiah when he saw his glory and spake of him." So they say, okay, this glory is talking about in Isaiah 6 and 1. So let's go to it. Let's see what it says. It says, "In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple." Now they pull this and say, okay, because in John, he quoted two passages from Isaiah, one of them coming from chapter 6 and the other one coming from 53. They think it makes more sense that when it's talking about the glory of Christ, it's in context of Isaiah 6. Before we keep reading, what is this train right here? It says his train filled the temple. Let's look in other translations. Look what the NIV says. It says, "In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord high and exalted sitting on the throne, and the train of his robe filled the temple." NLT. "It was in the year King Uzziah died that I saw the Lord. He was sitting on a lofty throne, and the train of his robe filled the temple." So if you keep reading that train filling the room, it's talking about his robe. I just want to pull that real quick to show you that what the train means. It's talking about like a physical glory. If you keep reading, watch. "Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. So when you go back to John 12, what a Christian might say is that this is this glory spoken of in John 12 when it said Isaiah spake of his glory. All right. And they think this is talking about Christ in Isaiah 6. But when you read the context of Isaiah 6, what did we see fill the room? It said his train, which will be his robe, right? Just to get a supporting precept on that, let's go to Revelation 15. Revelation 15 and 7. And one of the four beasts gave up unto the seven angels 7 golden vials full of the wrath of God, who liveth forever and ever. And the temple was filled with the smoke from the glory of God and from his power. And no man was able to enter into the temple till the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were fulfilled. So there go the Lord's glory again, filling the room, the same as the train, the road. It's like a physical glory, right? So going back to Isaiah 6 and 3. And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. All right. Going through the context, this will be talking about his train, his robe. Now, just to further prove that this is not Christ's glory, let's go back to John 12 real quick. In John 12, remember, we had 2 passages pulled from Isaiah 6 and 10 and Isaiah 53. Let's read this one more time. It says, These things said Isaiah when he saw his glory and spake of him. In John 12, this is Christ. This is Christ. So it said Isaiah spoke of these things when he saw his glory and spake of him. But when we go to Isaiah 6, where did Isaiah speak of a coming Messiah in Isaiah 6? Because John 12 says 2 things, his glory and he spake of him. If you just skim through here, where do you see anything about a coming Messiah? It's 13 verses. It says nothing about a Messiah. But remember, there was another passage. There's another passage. In John 12, remember, he also quoted Isaiah 53. In Isaiah 53, that's about Christ. Isaiah spoke of Christ in Isaiah 53, right? But now we got to answer the question, okay, what about his glory? We know that he spoke of the suffering servant, which is the Messiah, but what about his glory? Because this says when he saw his glory. So what glory did Isaiah see? Let's go to Isaiah 53. And let's understand the context of Isaiah 53. This is the suffering servant, right? Let's just go 1 chapter before. Isaiah 52 and verse 13. Look what this says, the exalted servant. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. Now you might be asking me, okay, but where does it say glory? Watch this. If you do more studying, we're going to look into the Greek Septuagint. Because we know at the time of the New Testament, it's fair to say they was reading the Greek Septuagint, which is the Greek Old Testament. All right? So when John said that Isaiah spake of his glory, or saw his glory and spake of him, we can see this in Isaiah 52, actually, and not Isaiah 6. Because Isaiah 6 is about the Father's glory. And the Father's glory, that the context of the Father's glory in Isaiah 6 and the Revelation I pulled is talking about an actual physical glory filling the room. But the glory of Christ is different. I'm going to prove it though. Isaiah 52 and 13 in the Greek Septuagint. It says, Behold, shall perceive my servant, and he shall be exalted, and he shall be glorified. So in the Greek Septuagint, it's there. So what would John have to be reading at that time? He would have a Greek Old Testament. So he would see he shall be glorified. And let's also get it in the Brenton's Septuagint translation. Isaiah 52, 13. It says, Behold, my servant shall understand and be exalted and glorified exceedingly. So Isaiah 52 and 13 makes way more sense than Isaiah 61 being the glory. Because like I said, Isaiah 61, that's more of a physical glory. In Isaiah 52 and 53, that's talking about the actual servant being glorified. But let's go back to John 12 and read it one more time. It says, these things said Isaiah when he saw his glory and spake of him. That last part is important because nowhere in Isaiah 6 does it speak of Christ. Now, let's talk about the glory that Christ has, just to show you that it's different from the Father. John chapter 2. John 2 and verse 11. It says, this beginning of miracles did Jesus in Cana of Galilee and manifested forth his glory, and his disciples believed on him. So it said Christ, he manifested forth his glory by what? Doing miracles, right? That's one way that he manifested his glory, and the disciples believed on him. That's why when you go back to John 12, where is it? John 12 and 38, it says that the saying of Isaiah, the prophet, might be fulfilled, which he spake, Lord, who have believed our report. All right. When you go to John 2, it says the disciples believed him, right? But who was rejecting Christ? The scribes and the Pharisees. They didn't believe on his glory. That's the type of glory they're talking about. Not a physical glory. It's talking about the actual manifestation of glory through miracles and things that Christ did while he was on earth. Let's go back one chapter, get one more scripture. John 1 and 14. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. So there you go again, showing you that that glory is not the same as that physical glory that the Father has being shown throughout all the earth within this context. So the context of John 12 is showing you that the glory of the Messiah is talking about, a manifestation of the glory that Christ brought when he walked the earth, not the glory before he came into being. That's not the glory speaking about in John 12. All right. But with that, I hope that was a good lesson for y'all. Shalom.